and welcome to the 2024 Orientation Week Organ Concert. My name is Garv, and I will be turning pages for the concert today. Obviously, before we start, just to reiterate the fire safety stuff, there are 3 exits, one where you came in and 2 at the back of the hall. Make sure to silence or turn off all of your electronic devices, including your cell phones, and make sure not to talk during the concert. If you need to leave the concert for any reason, there will be a brief pause before the 4th piece. So that's Mad Rush by Philip Glass for those of you with programs. However, there will be no re-entry. Now, I'd like to introduce our organist today. This professor is curator of instruments and distinguished senior lecturer in music at Brown, teaching topics such as organ, music theory, and seminars on topics such as composer Olivier Messiaen. He has just returned from performing at international organ festivals in Weimar, Germany, and Paris, France, and will return to Paris in October to perform again. His recordings can be found on Spotify for those of you who are interested. Now, without further ado, please join me in welcoming our university organist, Professor Mark Steinbach.
Good evening and welcome to Sayles Hall, home of the world's largest Hutchings-Votey pipe organ. And welcome class of 2020, am I going to get this right? 2028, woo! To your first recital at Brown, woohoo! Hutchings-Votey was a pipe organ builder very well known at the turn of the 20th century. They built such instruments as Boston's Symphony Hall organ a few years before Brown. Brown's instrument was built in 1903. If it would have been built 20 years earlier, I would have needed 4 of you to pump the bellows during the recital, but alas, electricity was already invented by 1903, so I just push a button and we have the wind that comes from the basement. At the end of the recital tonight, the recital's 50 minutes, I'm going to do a Q&A, and you may have questions about the pipe organ. Someone will be in back with a microphone, and I'll answer your questions about the organ or anything else that you'd like to ask. The organ has over 3,000 pipes, so you're only seeing a small percentage of the pipes with the facade here. On the first piece, you heard the very lowest pipes of the organ, which were played with the feet. The next piece, you're going to hear the very highest pipes of the organ, the little piccolo, which those are really tiny, adorable pipes. Here we go, piccolo piece. Thank you, and thank John Williams for writing that. The next piece, I'm actually playing two pieces by Olivier Messiaen, French composer of the 20th century. Olivier Messiaen possessed synesthesia, so he associated certain colors with certain chords or sonorities. He was also an ornithologist, and in the second movement, I'm playing two pieces. In the second piece, you'll hear maybe some bird song. What else can we say about Messiaen? Really interesting character. And yeah, so Olivier Messiaen, Outburst of Joy first, and then Serene Alléluias, which uses a melody played by the feet. Thank you. You're a great audience. Did you see colors during that piece? I think I did. Feet were playing 5 against 6 in the hand, 5 against 6 against 3. He's kind of crazy. He also described himself as a rhythmician, so math guy. So the next piece is also by a math guy. Philip Glass was actually a math concentrator at University of Chicago. He later studied music with Ravi Shankar and also studied in Paris with Nadia Boulanger. So the next piece on the program is Philip Glass's piece Mad Rush, which was originally written for the organ, although it's published in the piano version as well. He first premiered the piece at the Cathedral of St. John the Divine in New York City in 1979. Thank you, Philip Glass. Is he 87 this year? I can't keep track. 88? From Baltimore, Maryland. Anyone from Baltimore out there? Woo! You and Philip. And thank you, Hutchings-Votey, for making that possible. So the organ was built in 1903. You can imagine after 120 years, it starts needing a little work done on it, right? So believe it or not, that one of the loudest stops of the organ is not here tonight. So you'll have to come back to the Halloween midnight organ recital to hear the 16-foot reed in the pedal, which is as long as those pipes on the facade, but it makes a really loud noise. I'm going to play the pedal stop for you where there are no pipes, and you should be able to hear a hissing of wind right now. You hear that? So there's a big row of empty spots for pipes. When the pipes are in there and you press a note, if you pull the stop, the sound will go through the pipe and play the note. I'll show you after the concert. I'm going to demonstrate with the pipe exactly how it works. But like I said, we're missing a few ranks. They had to take them out, load them in big trucks. They're cleaning the pipes. They're resoldering the tops of them so we can keep tuning the pipes. So can't wait to have all the new shiny pipes back for the next recital. The next piece on the program was written by Brown composer Wang Lu. Wang Lu, are you here tonight? I guess her 4-year-old didn't allow her to come. Wang Lu is our colleague in the composition department. She teaches this fall, she's teaching orchestration and composition. Her office is right next to mine. In 2016, she wrote this piece for me to premiere at Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris. It was in honor of the victims of a terrorist attack in Paris. We didn't know that a few years later, Notre Dame Cathedral was going to fall in ashes. But this piece is called Missing Absence. And if you watch on the screen, you'll see a lot of parts for double pedal, which are kind of tricky. And she uses a lot of different sonorities of the organ, especially exploiting the flute stops and some of the pipes that are tuned a fifth higher than regular notes on the organ. Missing Absence. Thank you, Wang Lu. Can I take a selfie of you for Wang Lu? You all have to wave at her. Why don't we do a quick video? You want to yell out, "Thank you, Professor Wang Lu"? 3, 2, 1. You're awesome. One more, let's get one more. Okay. Excellent. Thank you, great audience. Everybody holding onto their water bottle for the last piece? We forgot about that part. All right. When I first started doing these 250 years ago, someone brought a bag of marbles along. Okay, we're already at the last piece, but it's 15 minutes long. So this is by Johann Sebastian Bach, who wrote so many pieces for the organ. This is his Toccata in C major. It has actually more parts than that. So there's a toccata at the beginning. Look out for the heavy-duty pedal solo. If you'll notice, I have special shoes to play the organ. Violinists, what do you write in your scores? Bowings? Pianists, you write in fingering. Organists, for the feet, write in, oh, am I going to play that with my right heel or my right toe or my left toe or my left? So we have to map out the piece. But early on in this piece, there's a massive pedal solo, which is pretty tricky. And then we have a slow middle movement, which is supposed to make you feel sad or introverted. And then we have the happy fugue at the end, which the melody starts in one hand, it comes into the other hand, and before you know it, the feet are dancing away with the melody. Enjoy Bach's Toccata in C major. up here. Take a bow. Take a bow. Good stuff. If you need to leave before the Q&A, you can leave right now. We'll take a 30-second pause, and then we'll start the Q&A. Thank you so much. Have a great semester. Looking forward to seeing you at the midnight Halloween show.
All right, everyone. Professor Steinbach will be doing a Q&A momentarily. So if you'd like to participate, just raise your hand high, and one of us will come find you. So, yeah.
I'm going to start by, I didn't say at the beginning of the show, hello, hi. I didn't say at the beginning of the show, the organ was given in 1903 by a man named Lucian Sharp. He was a graduate of Brown in 1893. Hi down there. Hello. So Lucian Sharp graduated Brown in 1893. Only 10 years later, he had the funds to donate this entire organ to Brown University in honor of his parents. And if you can read, how many of you read Latin? So on the facade up here it says, Academia e parentibus pignus pietatis. So out of reverence to the academy, otherwise known as the university, and my parents. So he donated the organ. So we're expecting great things of you in 14 years. Maybe you'll be donating a new pipe organ to Brown. We could always use another one. Anyway, it's still sounding forth. Questions? Oh, good. We have a lot of questions. Who's the person with the microphone? All right.
If we could ask everyone to first sit down, just so we can see your hands better.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Do you mind?
Yeah, sure.
Did you bring sleeping bags and blankets this year? No? Okay, raise your hand. Questions?
Hi, I have the mic.
Hi.
Okay, I have two the first one's really quick. Okay, first of all, is this the organ you practice on regularly?
I do practice on this organ regularly.
Okay, that's very cool.
I also have a new one in my office in Orgue, yep.
And how did you start playing the organ? What introduced you to the organ?
What introduced me to it? I moved to a new town when I was in 6th grade, and I wasn't real fond with my new piano teacher, and I wanted to quit. And my mom said, "Oh, why don't you try the organ?" So I started lessons with the organist down the street, and I could practice in the quiet church down the street, and it didn't interfere with my brother watching football on the TV, which was in the same room as the piano. So if you grew up competing with a sibling who was wanting to use the same, when you wanted to be practicing piano and they wanted to be watching football, it was a small house. So it was my ticket to be able to practice music. Next question. Okay.
You could just yell. Okay. So I feel like I always see organs in churches as the first organ that I've seen outside of a church. Why do you think they're always used in churches? You know.
So, and this is going to take us to the next part of the Q&A, which it goes both ways. Did you know that? I was going to ask you questions as well. Okay. So, what do you think is the oldest, how old is the pipe organ?
If I had to wager a guess, I'd say the Renaissance. I'd say 1500.
Yes, you back there? How old? You can just yell it out. How old? Dark Ages, even older than medieval period. Yes, beside you. Thousands of years. So thousands of years is the correct answer. If you'll see on the back of this door, which I'm going to give a tour of the inside of the organ, it says 2,600 years of pipe organ history. So in ancient Greece and ancient Rome, organs were these gigantic, large instruments outside to accompany, in Rome, gladiator games. So if you think of baseball games that still use organs today, it was similar. They didn't have the stops that we have that could play soft. It was just one loud sound. So it's something like that. So I don't really have the answer for you why organs are mainly in churches now, except that they were loud enough to accompany a group of 500 people singing at the same time. So, and they, also loud enough to play outside to play for gladiator games. I'm going to give a little tour of how the organ works, and then you might have some other questions. So do you see that nice row of pipes up there? I'm going to march up here. I didn't thank Alex. Please give applause to Alex and the people at Media Services. Woo! Could not do it without them. So Alex, if you lower the camera, back here you see one of the wind reservoirs. Do you see that thing with leather? It looks like a big bellows. We have 5 of those. And I don't know if you can see the bricks on top. The bricks are the highly sophisticated method of maintaining the proper wind pressure. So on this organ, the wind starts in the basement when I turn on the lever, and then it comes up through ducts. It's stored in the wind reservoirs, or the bellows. But then we also have, this is another wind chest, which is right below the pipes. So the pipes are sitting on the wind chest. When I press a key, it opens a pallet at the bottom of the pipe, and wind flows through the pipe, and you hear a note. So I'm going to pull a pipe, something the organ builder doesn't want me to do, but I don't think it'll matter. So should I stand here or at the end of the balcony? I'm going to stand at the end of the balcony. So this pipe is a C sharp, has a hole in the bottom. It was born to sing that one note. That's all it does is play C sharp. And you can't play it louder or softer. It is what it is. How many of you played the recorder in 2nd grade? What happens when you play a recorder and you try to play it louder? It goes out of tune. What happens if you try to play it softer? It goes flat. Same thing with this pipe. It only plays at one volume. Do you see the sardine can business at the top of the pipe? No, you don't. Oh. Oh, okay. That part, believe it or not, that's how you tune the pipe. How many of you sing in an a cappella group or in a choir? How do you tune your vowels together? Ah. Garv, come over here. You're a baritone, right?
That's right.
You're going to hold your ah vowel and don't change it.
Okay.
If I don't match his vowel, did you notice it sounded out of tune? But if you have the same shape of the mouth, it actually sounds more in tune. So that's how you tune these pipes. The organ has other, you see on the facade, the metal pipes. Those are tuned in a different way, and we have reed pipes, actually. How many of you play a reed instrument like a saxophone or a clarinet? What are your reeds made out of? Yell it out. Cane. The reeds on the organ have a little metal tongue that are made out of copper. So those are a different sounding pipe as well. What did I miss, Garb? We got the bellows. We didn't talk about the swell shades. So I turned on the work lights during the organ concert so you could see there is a way of creating a swell or a crescendo on the organ. In the 19th century, they said, oh, the pianoforte instrument can play loud and soft. We need to try to do that on the organ. So they said, oh, we'll build a room around the pipes and then make it possible to open and close ventils or the Venetian blinds. And that's how we got the crescendo on the first piece. Look up there behind the gold pipes. Yeah, so it's just like having a brass band behind the stage. You could open the windows so that you hear the brass more or less. And that's operated with your foot. Before the dawn of electricity, it's all mechanical action. Did we show we could use your camera to show the picture of the guys pumping the organ? So, if this were in 1880, I would have needed 4 of you to pump the bellows. That would have been fun. And I would have needed a stop puller on the left and a stop puller on the right. But with the dawn of electricity, you saw me pushing buttons with my feet or my hand, and that changed the registration quickly. All right, another question? Oh, the organ goes back 20, it's 20 feet deep. So there are 2 layers of pipes, rooms full of pipes. If you take my music theory class, we take a tour of the pipe organ. Questions? Other
Yes.
questions?
Hello. Hello.
Hi, wherever you are. Raise your hand. Oh, hi.
I wanted to ask if, like, when you're playing, can you see your feet, or do you rely purely on just touch?
Well, you know, it's a little bit of both. Generally, I don't allow my students to look down at their feet because you got to learn how to do it by just feeling. But you probably noticed during the Bach pedal solo, I cheated and looked at my feet. If that's the only thing going on. But if you have 3 things going on at once, you know, you can't really look at your, it's, you know, you're an athlete, so you rely on muscle memory mainly. Good question, though. I don't know if I answered it. But what if you're playing stride piano? Do you look at your hand where it's going to land? Maybe a little out of your peripheral vision. Your peripheral vision is at work a little bit. Thank you. Great question. What else? Yes?
Okay, so do pipe organs need to be tuned regularly like a piano?
They need to be tuned. We don't tune them that often. Ideally, if you had, you know, heat and humidity control, which we don't in this old room, this old building that was built in the 1880s, you wouldn't have to tune it that much, but we tune it before every organ recital. And it, you know, it's a special people that come and tune it for 5 hours each. And if you have metal pipes and wooden pipes, they change in the heat and humidity at different rates. So that's what makes it sound out of tune. Good question. Who else? Yes, here. Oh, okay.
Yeah. For the facade pipes, are like some of them, are all of them actual pipes that are in use, or are some of them just for show?
I see that you're majoring in aesthetics, architecture, or an inspector. Great question. You are correct. The middle pipes, the large ones, are real, except for the very, very middle is actually a fake pipe. Then the skinnier pipes on the side here are fake. The circular ones are real. It was a strange aesthetic in 1903, right? So they worked with the architect and they thought, oh, well, we want, a facade that looks a certain way. If you go to Europe and see organs of the 18th century or even early 19th century, they use all real pipes. But yeah, this was a thing. Good question. Yep.
I noticed they have the 3 pedals on the bottom.
Yes.
I usually only see 2, so could you explain what the 3 pedals do individually, besides the one that increases the volume? Or do all 3 increase the volume?
So they all 3 kind of affect the volume. The one on the left opens and closes the shades over here. There's another room with Venetian blinds built around it that can open. I don't know if you see that opening and closing. That's the left pedal. The middle pedal opens and closes the Venetian blinds up there. And the right pedal, I used it once. It turns on the green light. It's like having someone stand here and pull on and stops. I didn't use this other button, which is called the tutti button, which pulls on everything. That's cheating. Good question. Somebody else?
Hi, yes. Okay, so how many stops does this organ have, and what are some examples of, like, if you pull out a stop, what effect it will have on the music?
Oh, right. So we have 56 different stops, and, each one's very different. We had the trumpet that I just used. Boop, boop, boop. That's the high pressure trumpet. We have a clarinet. We have a bassoon. We have an oboe. We have a vox humana, otherwise known as the human voice. That's what a human voice sounded like in 1903. We have the vox celeste, the voice of heaven. And that's an interesting one. That's tuned just a little bit off of its neighbor pipe. So listen to its neighbor pipe. This is the vox celeste. How's it tuned? It's tuned a little bit sharp, so together you get this. You get that fuzzy French impressionist sound. It sounds like a choir of 50 people singing. Everyone's just a little bit out of tune with their neighbor, but it sounds great when you have 50 people doing it. So that's a small example of the many colors. My colleague in the electronic music department says, oh, the organ was the first synthesizer, so it's kind of true, right? One last question, then I'll play a piece, one short little piece to get you out the door. One last question.
Okay. So I know in piano you can change fingerings. I was wondering if you can do the same. You were talking about you can use right foot, heel, right toe. Are there variables for that? Or is it usually just the same?
Oh, you write in your own pedaling. You mean, do you do a substitution?
Yeah, is it?
Yeah. Do you want to watch? Can you show my feet, Alex? So, I don't know, maybe I don't understand your question, but like you could hold a note. And you can choose, you know, am I going to play toe or heel? If you look at my shoe, you have to wear a shoe that has a leather sole so you can slide around, and then you need the heel if you want to play heel notes. Does that kind of answer your question? Yeah. You're an incredible audience. I wish you a great semester. I hope you come to the midnight organ recital for Halloween, and then around holiday time, there's a student a cappella concert, and they use the organ. That's also at midnight. We also do a holiday carol sing in here before the end of the semester. So the organ's used a bunch of times. Next semester, I just booked an artist is coming, newly appointed organist of Notre Dame in Paris, is coming March 2nd to play an organ recital, Thierry Eskesh. He's an amazing improviser, and I play a recital in the spring, so a lot of exciting organ events. And yeah, maybe I'll play one little short piece. I'm going to use the Zimbelstern. This piece is written by a 19th century Rhode Island composer, Oliver Shaw. Early 19th century. Oliver Shaw was blind from birth, but he was a composer, a performer, and he operated the first music store, commercial music store in Providence, selling sheet music and instruments. If you go to the Swan Point Cemetery, there's a fancy gravestone for Oliver. So this is Trip to Pawtucket. Pawtucket, the town north of Rhode Island.